we have all this information coming at us on a daily basis from media, from news, from social media, from our children, from our communities. And yet so much of it is important. But we really have to consider, is all of it necessary? God never meant for us to be aware of everything going on in the world at every given moment.
It feels like there are everywhere, whether you're outside, whether you're inside, no matter what, there's all these things that are keeping us from rest. And in your book, you have this quote that I like on page 84. It says, what is currently preventing you from enjoying God's rest? Is it, these were really great to think through. Is it an obsession with productivity? Is it an addiction to distraction or an enslavement to worry? And I love the way you worded that. Like, we can be obsessed with productivity, even if we're being quote unquote quiet outside. Like, we want our kids to be productive when they're outside, right? Or an addiction to distraction. That was amazing. We've become addicted to distraction. When we sit down to rest, what do? Pick up our phone and start scrolling, right? And so I want you to talk a little bit about the barriers of rest and also the practical, you have a lot of practical things, the practical things we can do to eliminate these barriers and fully enter into rest, whether it's in our home or whether it's when we're outdoors enjoying creation.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest barriers to rest is that our minds are not at rest. If our minds are not at rest, no other part of us can embrace rest as God meant for us to. And so in the book, this chapter, I talk about information overload being a big barrier to rest. Your
lists. Can we go through the list?
Yes.
On page 159?
Definitely, we can. I want to talk, though, about the frigate bird. Because for one, it just has a really funny name. This is a crazy bird. It's this massive seabird. Its wingspan is about 7.5 feet. So it's a huge bird.
Where do you find
the males? You find them. So they'll live on the coasts of the Americas. Their breeding territory, their northernmost breeding territory, I think is Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of their breeding territories. Okay. So on the coast, they're seabirds.
On the coast. Okay.
And they have the males have this massive bright red goaler sac. That's the big thing that inflates. Like pelicans have them too, but the males is bright red. Crazy looking bird, silly name. And it's a seabird that can't swim.
Okay.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Its feathers are not waterproof like most seabirds.
Wow.
And so when it is making these long migrational journeys, it cannot land on the water to rest like most seabirds can. So God designed it with this crazy ability to rest and sleep while in flight. In fact, it can stay in the air flying for up to 2 months without landing. Isn't that insane? And the way it does this is through something called unihemispheric sleep. Dolphins can also do it. Whales, that's how they can swim while they're sleeping.
Okay.
Unihemispheric sleep. You think about unihemispheric, one half.
Right.
Half of the brain is sleeping and at rest.
Wow.
So the great frigate bird turns off part of its brain so that it's no longer paying attention to everything around it. It can filter out unnecessary information, while enough of its brain is still alert to allow it to fly and avoid obstacles and predators. We need to become like the great frigate bird.
Wow.
We need to be able to filter out all of the unnecessary information because think about, especially as homeschoolers, we have all this information coming at us on a daily basis from media, from news, from social media, from our children, from our communities. And yet so much of it is important. But we really have to consider, is all of it necessary? God never meant for us to be aware of everything going on in the world at every given moment.
Right.
Yes, don't stick your head in the sand, be aware, but choose wisely what emails you subscribe to, what platforms you use, who you follow, what news and media that you allow into your home. Become really picky about the information coming into your own mind and coming into your home so that we can actually get to a place where we can rest.
Right. That is so good. And that does take us to that list. You have a whole chapter on resting from information overload. And I would say that's probably one of the biggest struggles we have today, more so than they have in the past. But so like you're saying, we do need to do the half brain thing, and not the kind of half brain thing that we live on after we've just had a baby. This is a more intentional half brain thing, right? Where we are being intentional about what we're bringing into our minds. And that sounds great, but you give really practical tips in your book. You actually give a list of like, these are the things that are that are benefiting us, and these are the things that are draining us. These are the things that are producing rest in us, and these are the things that are sucking the rest. And, I think we're in this place where I know for me, every podcast I listen to, I end up with a list of things I need to go look up and research and find and read and do. And it ends up being stressful, right? Or, research and all these different things. And so there's a great list. And that was such a great chapter of being intentional. I think that's the word, being intentional with what we allow into our minds. And those things produce a state of either rest or not rest, right? We're in information overload right now. And so that's a very practical thing. You also talk about in the book how the sounds of nature, being outdoors, like just the sounds of nature can bring us into a restful place. And I found myself at one point where every time I would go out, I'd put earbuds in to listen to a podcast or listen to something. And I started realizing like, I'm not hearing the birds. I'm not hearing the wind and the breeze. And I end up getting home from my hike completely stressed out because I'm giving my brain information rather than rest when I'm out there. And so I agree, those are huge barriers. So what would be, because we're getting to the end, what would be your 3 most practical tips, just practical for moms to live a more restful life?
Yeah. Okay, let's start with the information overload.
Okay.
Because like, how can we really actually do that? Filter out that information. And you talked about the lists.
Right.
So really considering what books are you reading, what applications are you using, what media accounts, and even communications with specific groups.
Right.
Go through that list, write down those things that are feeding you information, and ask yourself, are they pointing your attention to Jesus? Are they life-giving to mind and spirit?
Love it.
Are they inspiring? Do they encourage you? Are they wholesome? Do they make you laugh? Do they keep you connected to loved ones? Does that app actually help you stay connected with loved ones who are far away, or is it a distraction?
Right.
And do they keep you informed on critical things? So one thing I do very specifically in my home is I don't avoid the news, but I'm very careful. Basically, I only listen to World Watch news from a biblical worldview with my children. And that's my news. My husband stays a little more informed, so he'll let me know if there's things I need to know.
Yes.
But I know that one of my propensities is to go down that rabbit hole of fear and anxiety if I'm paying attention to things that really aren't relevant to us. So World Watch lets me stay informed, know what to pray for, and then not be afraid of everything else.
Love it. I love that.
And so asking yourself those questions, or is this source of information leaving you anxious? Does it go against God's word?
Right.
Is it completely unrelated to you? Like maybe it's stealing your attention from your kids, stealing your energy, stealing your peace, and it is completely unrelated to you.
Like, for example, what, your high school, best friend in high school had for dinner last night, right? We're like, that's the kind of stuff we're watching, right? We're watching that on our phone. And now we're like, oh my word, that's a beautiful dinner. And we go down this rabbit trail. Like, that's not applicable to my life. And it just sucked out a time that I could be resting.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me give a second practice you can do. This is one of my favorites. Going back to the idea, we spent a whole week talking about Selah pauses.
Yes.
Bringing rest into your daily life. One of my favorites is to recite Psalm 23, whether it's out loud or in prayer. And I will, think about Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I take those words, I shall not want, and I add them at the end of every sentence or stanza. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. I shall not want. He leads me beside still, quiet, that word means restful waters. Right. I shall not want. And you go through the whole psalm like this. It just takes a few minutes, but for one, it slows you for that moment.
For sure.
Brings you back to truth. And one of the biggest things it does is when you repeat those words, I shall not want, it's removing you from a place of distraction and discontent. Because distraction and discontent, those are things that drive us toward hurry and hustle. Thinking about your high school friend's dinner last night and, I should cook a fresh meal tonight. I need to go to the store. I need to get these ingredients. While I'm doing that, I should overhaul our diet.
Yes.
Are the kids eating too much sugar? I should get back on that.
If you give a mouse a muffin, right? It's that book. It's that book every day of our life.
Yes. And so, yes, of course, we should be trying to better ourselves in God's power, always asking how we can grow, how we can help our children grow. Right. But we need to push back against that FOMO and that discontent and that distraction. And we can do that by reminding ourselves, oh, God leads us to green pastures. God gives us everything we need. I shall not want.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.